Hello everyone and welcome to a special versus video. And the reason it's special is because it's us.
Yeah.
Brian Brown-Dune and Brad Nelson here. We're going to be playing two aggressive strategies. It feels weird because if you look up, I'm playing Abzan Aggro. I'm playing Dr. Rhinoceros. Is that his name?
Dr. Siegeman Rhinoceros.
Dr. Siegeman Rhinoceros. And
MD.
And BBD's playing Teamer, a deck that you would think that I would normally play.
Yeah.
But ever since the Pro Tour and the GP, I've really liked Abzan Aggro, but I didn't really want to play it yet. So I think last week in Minneapolis, since something went wrong, I played this deck. And if you don't know that, something definitely went wrong.
See, I was in the same boat. I really liked Abzan Aggro. However, I was ready to play it, and I did.
Yeah.
And I still like the deck. I didn't do well, but I still like the deck.
Yeah, I mean, it just needs some fixing. So the idea that we're going to show you with the deck list is I want tempo plays. I want cheap sideboards for this deck. I think like one of the big things that's wrong with sideboarding is, or the way people are building them, is they're going too big. And I want to be like really contained to be able to cast multiple spells in the first like 4 turns. Like I don't want to just curve out. I want to play a 2-drop with a 1-drop on turn 3 and a 3-drop with a 1-drop on turn 4. Like that's the goal. Like to make the tap lands more valuable because you have better powerful turns and you can catch up faster and never really fall behind. So let's take a look at the deck list and then we'll show you the sideboard. It looks very much like a regular Abzan Aggro deck except one missing link, which is Herald. Now, yep. I might be wrong and Herald is actually phenomenal, but every time I've seen Herald, I wasn't that impressed. I actually got to make decisions based on them having a Herald in hand and just make it as bad as possible for as long as possible, to where like them even doing so, like casting it or bestowing it, wasn't that great. I even got to make people cast it and then just attack them with goblins a bunch, and they just kept draining their life total down and then finally died. So it's a card that I don't really want to play with. It's a card you might have to play with to get over the green decks, but we do have a sideboard for those green matchups. But let's talk about the cards that are new. The biggest one is Murderous Cut. And Wingmate Rock is in some of the lists, but not in all of them. Mm-hmm. But I think that Murderous Cut is phenomenal, and that's because our deck has a ton of ways to interact in the early game, or even in the mid game with like turns 4 through 5 with Obs and Charms and Downfalls and Siege Rhinos. But there's going to be a point where you still have some gas in your hand, or you want to be able to also activate Rakshasha and regenerate, and you want to kill something, but you can choose one. And I think that Murderous Cut allows you to have the ability to do everything as opposed to make a decision. And that's something that keeps you in the early game for a deck like this and keeps you attacking. And pretty much what I consider early, mid, late is early is when you have a ton of, like you're just presenting your threats. Mid is when you have options, and late is when you're just in these top deck wars. And you just don't, you don't really have an option. Sure, you have an option of Monster Scene or pumping, but that's not casting spells.
Yeah.
And I think having Murderous Cut keeps you in that mid game a little bit longer, lets you make decisions, and gives you a huge tempo play. And I think that's what these decks really need, is a way to play something and kill something. So then if they play something, you can like Wingmate, or you can protect your Sorin, or get more value out of them. So I might even go up to a third. I'm right now at 2. 3 sounds a little ambitious.
Yeah, it's definitely ambitious.
But it could be great. Other than that, it's very generic. We've got Heir of the Wilds as a 2-of to complement the Rakshashas and the Fleecemanes, just to always have something to do on turn 2 when it's not Tapland, Thoughtseize. And we have Thoughtseize as a 2-drop because, if you see, we've got ourselves quite a few Taplands.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely needed, though, because look at the mana cost here. There's like black-green, green-white, triple color, triple color, triple color. Like,
yeah, I mean,
it's a super mana-hungry deck.
It is a very mana-hungry deck. It's one of the reasons why we're on 2 Urborgs. Mostly the deck has, quote-unquote, an extra land, but with Rakshasha, it's really difficult to flood. Same with Fleecemane Lion. Obs Charm draws you more cards, so sometimes like you can just draw some cards and play something the same turn because you have extra lands. And when you get to the late game, even if you draw both of these, like it's just a Lotus Petal for a turn, but it shouldn't really hurt you that much. But it does seem very important to have. Like it turns your Windswept Heaths into swamps, so you don't have to actually fetch for lands. It also means that this Plains taps for black, and all of these tap for black when you need it to. And because you have like Downfall and Rakshasha pumps and Thoughtseizes, you're going to be hungry for black in the mid game.
Yeah, like the deck's super black hungry, and you have 7 lands that don't tap for black.
Yeah, exactly. And so actually 8.
Ooh, yeah. Well, yep. That's a new addition there. But.
Yep. I like the Temple of Plenty over the
Temple of Silence.
Yeah, because I think there's too many of those for when you actually need to cast your green drops early. Like you can't play Temple of Silence into like this or this, so you're just forced to play a tap land. But anyway, that's the main deck. The most important part of this archetype is in the sideboard, and that's where we're going to go into the meat and potatoes of the archetype. All right, so in the sideboard we have a 5-drop and some 3-drops, but other than that, just a lot of cheap cards. And now,
Can I interrupt you for a second?
That's fine.
I brought a fork and a plate because you said there were going to be meat and potatoes. I don't see any meat and potatoes. I just see 15 magic cards.
After we play.
Okay, all right.
Okay?
All right.
Okay.
You're saying there's a 5-drop and some meat.
And a train derailing. So we have a Nissa for the late game and against like more control-ish decks or when they're trying to control you. And I'm trying 2 Abzan Ascendancies, and the reason for this is there's a lot of matchups that might go control, might go aggressive, but this is one of my favorite hedges in the matchups because it not only makes my guys bigger when I want them to be bigger, which is great because you don't really need to progress your board too much when you think they might have wrath, but this is a great way to just like stop their control plan. Like if they kill a guy, you get another guy, and if they want to try to attrition you out, it's really difficult to do when all your guys become more guys.
Yeah, it's a little awkward against Perilous Vault, but it's very good against end hostilities.
Yes, but I think blue-black control is not a good deck, and you
I
can just
agree.
tell by the showing that it's had in a long time. Like, it's really tough to say a deck is good when Huey plays it and has not done well in either tournament.
Yeah.
Like, he's the best player in the world. He makes the best decisions in playing, maybe not deck decisions.
Yeah,
but,
right.
And I'm not the biggest fan of that deck. Now, we have 4 drowns because I respect red every single time. And I respect decks that might go under. I think that a card that has seen 0 play that should, especially for this matchup, is Soldier of the Pantheon. Like, there should be a deck with Soldier of the Pantheon in it, but we don't know what the configuration is yet. But that card does seem phenomenal, especially in this matchup.
Feels like some sort of Seeker of the Way deck.
Yeah, Seeker of the Way deck, maybe splashing blue. I don't know. We'll build that later. But moving forward, this is the card that I want to play most for this deck. We're an aggressive deck. This gives our guys a boost, kills the guy in the way, puts them on a very short clock. It's the perfect card for the Green Mirrors because the thing about the Green Mirrors, especially with Wingmate Rock in them, is that you have to make sure their board's cleared because you can't just put a guy into play and then them attack you, play Wingmate Rock. So what Hunt the Hunter allows you to do is put a guy into play and kill their guy, and now that forces them to either respect Wingmate Rock or just play their own guy. But it's going to give you this huge tempo boost even when you're on the draw where you can just go guy, kill your guy, go. And that's what I think this deck needs the most in the Green Mirrors. Not trying to go over the top, not trying to just play this like mid to long game, because odds are their deck is going to go longer than you. And so what I want in those matchups is a really efficient way to get to the mid game ahead and make them be on the back foot.
Yeah, I mean, I really like that actually a lot. I will say, though, that Herald Torment's also very good at doing that kind of a thing, too, where you get out ahead and maybe they try to go big, but you just kill them before they get to their big stuff.
Well, so. I think Herald of Torment is great when you're ahead, but I think it's awful when you're on the draw, when you're a little slightly behind, because you just have to kill and hope that you get there. Like, you just, like, spend 3 mana to kill a guy. Like, I feel like this deck gets to only cast 1 spell a turn often. And so any opportunity where I can cast 2 spells is exactly what I want, especially if they're going to Thoughtseize and kill my guys too. Both their graveyards are going to fill up really fast. So we have Hunt the Hunter, Thoughtseize, and Murder's Cut to just make sure that we get to play all our stuff as fast as possible and then live off the top of our deck instead of spending more mana to have the same outcome. And so that's exactly what I'm trying to do. And a Hunt the Hunter will just, in my opinion, allow that to happen. And it should show a little bit of its power in this matchup as well.
Yeah.
Just being able to, I mean, we're just going to be fighting a lot.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of fighting.
There's going to be a lot of fighting.
Both in-game and when the cameras are off.
I mean, now they don't care about Magic. Now they just want to see us fighting. So now they want the cameras on all the time. Anyway, guys, that's the deck. Oh, yeah, Glare, Heresy, and Despise, you know what they do. Now we're gonna go check out BBD/Brian Kibler's Teamer Monsters deck, and then we'll get to the battles.
It's a Brian tag team.
It's a Brian tag team indeed. I don't think I could win that one.
I don't know. You might, maybe.